Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi departed on Monday morning for Venezuela as the head of state will begin his Latin American tour. Mexico's ruling National Regeneration Movement, the Morena Party, stated that its candidate for the 2024 presidential election will be announced on September the 6th. And the Cuban Health authorities take corresponding actions to counteract epidemiological complications that may arise after heavy rains. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. Mexico's ruling National Regeneration Movement, Morena Party, stated that its candidate for the 2024 presidential election will be announced on September 6 after polling to pick a winner. Following a meeting of the party's leadership in Mexico City aimed at setting out rules for the internal contest, Alfonso Durazo, Morena governor of the northern state of Sonora, said that 5 polls will be held to elect a candidate. In this sense, the Morena's board resolved that all those competing for the party's candidacy must step down from public office to campaign. The decision had been widely anticipated and followed a recommendation made by the president Andrés Manuel López Obrador, which aimed at keeping his movements united. Meanwhile, Morena Party chairman Mario Delgado stated that debates are not expected to happen, but contenders will be able to campaign across Mexico from June 19th to August 27th.
As of tomorrow, registrations are open. The candidates have to express in writing their commitments to continue the fourth transformation and accept, of course, the result of this poll, which will be final. When do the campaigns begin? From June 19th to August 27th. When do the polls begin? From August 28th to September 3rd. When will the results be announced? September 6th.
We have other information. On Monday in China, the President Xi Jinping held talks with his Honduran counterpart, Xiomara Castro, at the Great People's Palace within the framework of President Castro's 6-day visit. President Xi Jinping noted that this visit is of special significance for having opened a new chapter in the annals of relations between their nations. China and Honduras renewed diplomatic relations on March 26, at the same time that Tegucigalpa broke off diplomatic relations with Taiwan after 82 years. During the meeting, the leaders witnessed the signing of 17 bilateral cooperation documents on the Belt and Road economy, trade, quality inspection, agriculture, science and technology, and culture and education. During her visit to China, Castro formally asked BRICS new Development Bank President Dilma Rousseff for the Central American country to join the financial entity.
As president of Honduras, I recognize only one China, the one led by President Xi Jinping. Its progress and the development of its people, as well as its global leadership, promoting the initiatives of the Belt Road, global development, global civilization, and the Global Security Initiative that we have accepted, aware of the great challenges to build our symmetries, combat the arms race, and the proliferation of nuclear weapons, and to build peace, so necessary to rethink the course of humanity.
And Cuba's Prime Minister Manuel Marrero Cruz paid tribute on Monday to the historic leader of Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro, at the monument erected in the Moscow district of Sokol. Marrero thus began his official visit to Russia. The tribute was attended by members of the government delegation that has been visiting Russia since June the 6th. Earlier, the head of government of the Caribbean country held a meeting with members of the Cuban State Mission in Moscow, where a representation of students of the scholarship plan of Russian universities for Cuba participated. The Cuban premier arrived in Moscow from Sochi, where he participated in various events of the Russian Economic Union and took part in the Eurasian Intergovernmental Council and in the Third Eurasian Congress. Marrero Cruz will be in Russia until the 17th of June, and after finishing the official visit, he will participate in the International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg. The Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva presented on Monday the new literacy policy that will set the guidelines in the country, as it is considered the main education program of his government. According to a message on Lula's Twitter account, his administration begins with the national commitment for a literate childhood to resume the federal government's attention to Brazilian basic education and guarantee that 100% of Brazilian children will finish the second year of primary school, knowing how to read and write. The previous week, the Minister of the Sector, Camilo Santana, advertised or warned that it will be his first ministry's biggest program. Santana also assured that the new policy was cemented through conversations with municipal education secretaries and with the Union of Municipal Education Leaders. On Sunday, the party Frente de Todos achieved a wide victory in the elections of the province of Tucumán, where the Peronist candidate Osvaldo Jaldo won the victory for the position of governor in the primary elections. The Argentine president sent a message of congratulations to the candidate Osvaldo Jaldo, who obtained 57.75% of the votes in the province of Tucumán, confirming the Peronist hegemony in the northern Argentine province. On the other hand, President Fernandez also congratulated the opposition candidate Claudio Poggi, who won the governorship of the province of San Luis with 54.63% of the votes. Fernandez announced that he will travel to Tucumán on Monday to join the Peronism celebrations. Sunday's elections were suspended on May 14th by decision of the Supreme Court of Justice due to a challenge filed against Juan Mansur's candidacy for vice governor, who finally decided to step out of the race. Let's take a short break. But remember, you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find the news in different formats, news updates and more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi departed on Monday for Venezuela as the head of state will start his LATAM tour. The Persian head of state assured that his country has a strong spirit of resistance against the hegemonic powers, which is a common premise of his nation with Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua. He also specifically emphasized the political, economic, and commercial ties between Tehran and Caracas, highlighting cooperation in the energy industry. He assured that he is traveling in the hope that the consultations and agreements of his tour will mark a milestone and further consolidate relations with Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua as the main allies in the region. We move on to other topics. Italy's former prime minister and leader of the Forza Italia party, Silvio Berlusconi, died at the age of 86. According to his press office, Berlusconi, who had a recent history of health issues, had been recently diagnosed with leukemia. He had been admitted to Milan's San Raffaele hospital before with breathing problems and attended a checkup there on Friday. The politician, who has long regarded as Italy's most colorful public figure, was elected prime minister 3 times and served for a total of 9 years, longer than any other lawmaker in the country. The former premier was tried on charges ranging from tax evasion and bribery to corruption and having intercourse with an underage prostitute. However, only one case stuck, a 2012 conviction for tax evasion in a deal involving television rights. And the polling stations in Montenegro closed on Sunday after 13 hours of voting in early parliamentary elections, which could be considered the lowest turnout in the country's multi-party history since 1991. Some 540,000 citizens went to the polls to elect the 81 deputies of parliament. According to the Center for Monitoring and Research, the CEMI, which is listed as an election observer, the registered turnout was 50.8%, well below that obtained in the 2020 with 74.9% and the 2016 elections with 71.6% legislative elections, and in the presidential elections last March with 60.5%. Voters had a choice of 15 parties and coalitions. The elections passed off normally with few irregularities, and it is estimated that they should put an end to political instability in Montenegro, which has caused the fall of governments since 2020. And nuclear-capable states have increased their arsenals as a symptom, according to the Stockholm Institute for Peace Studies, of deteriorating geopolitical relations. The organization's latest report shows that arms control and disarmament diplomacy have suffered a major setback in the context of the Ukrainian conflict. The total world inventory recorded by January 2023 some 12,512 operational nuclear warheads. That is 86 more than in January 2022. Of those, currently, about 2,000, most of them belonging to Russia and the United States, remain deployed. The Swedish Institute also states that 90% of all the world's nuclear weapons are possessed, mainly by Moscow and Washington. And also, NATO's biggest air deployment exercise ever over Europe, hosted by Germany, got underway on Monday. As announced last week, it involved some 10,000 participants and 250 aircraft from 25 countries, which involved and will be responding to a simulated attack of a NATO member. The United States alone is sending 2,000 U.S. Air National Guard personnel and about 100 aircraft. Sweden, which is hoping to join the alliance, and Japan are also taking part in the exercise. Officials said that Germany's Air Traffic Control Authority has worked with the Air Force to keep disruption to a minimum. The drill is limited to 3 areas which won't be used simultaneously, and it will be over before school vacations start in any German state. This drill, called Air Defender 2023, will run through June 23rd. And in all Israeli prisons, preparations for the general strike called by the Palestinian prisoners arrested under the violating figure of administrative prisoners have begun. The call was made by the Committee of Administrative Detainees, recently created by the Supreme Emergency Committee of the National Movement of Prisoners in Palestine. Under the motto Revolution for Freedom, Intifada of Administrative Prisoners, they start on Monday the operatives for the Fast Fixed, starting from June 18th, when the prisoners under the administrative regime will refuse to eat food or liquids. They assure that it is a strategy of struggle so that the occupier respects the norms of international law. And TeleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries using StarSat. Dial 461 and enjoy our Latin American alternative broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The 14th Ordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, the IGAD, takes place on Monday in Djibouti, with peace and security as crucial topics on the working agenda. The leaders of Ethiopia, Eritrea, Kenya, Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, Uganda, and the host country, Djibouti, discuss critical issues for regional stability and development in times of strong regional and global upheavals. Representatives of the African Union, the European Union, and the United Nations are also present at the meeting. The Intergovernmental Authority on Development is an 8-country trade bloc in Africa. It includes governments from the Horn of Africa, the Nile Valley, and the African Great Lakes. On Sunday, members of Mali's security forces exercised their vote during early voting ahead of the referendum on the new constitution. The referendum, scheduled for June 18th, is an important milestone on the road to elections promised for February 2024. Next June 18th, Mali citizens will have to respond yes or no to the question of the referendum. The draft constitution strengthens the power of the president, and under it, it is the head of state and not the government who appoints the prime minister and ministers. The president also has the right to dismiss them and to dissolve parliament. Constitutional change has long been under discussion in Mali. A referendum set for 2017 did not take place, and this June 18th referendum will be the first national vote since 2020. Now we move on to other topics. Authorities on Monday closed beaches in Pakistan's coastal city of Karachi and ordered fishermen to go back in anticipation of cyclone Biparjoy. Restaurants near the beach were closed to avoid loss of life, as authorities also ordered fishing boats back because of the threat posed by the approaching cyclone. From the Arabian Sea, Cyclone Biparjoy is aiming at Pakistan's Sindh province and the coastline of the western Indian state of Gujarat. It is forecast to make landfall on Thursday and could reach maximum wind speeds of up to 200 kilometers per hour. Biparjoy is the first severe cyclone to approach Pakistan since devastating floods last year left more than 1,000 people dead and over $30 billion in losses. And Cuban health authorities take the corresponding actions to counteract epidemiological complications that may arise from the continuous rains. The Ministry of Public Health of Cuba, in the recovery stage, called to maintain personal and family hygiene, boil drinking water, discard contaminated food, wash and disinfect raw food such as fruits and vegetables. The heavy rains recorded in the largest of the Antilles left damage to homes, roads and agricultural areas. The authorities insist that the rains and the danger have not yet ceased, and the first thing to take care of is the lives of the citizens. Civilians were advised to go to the doctor in case of any symptom, to be fever, diarrhea, or rash. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.